Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanam Jarasharakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jainam Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshvade Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata Deshatadine. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. I see beautiful names on the screen. Thank you all for being there. Today I feel very fortunate because we will spend some time glorifying together Subala Sakha. He is a very special personality. He is Krishna's dear most intimate friend. So first of all, I'd like to speak a little bit about the Priyanamasakas, because that is true. We can see in Shastra there's not so much description about the Priyanamasakas. In his book, Priyo Bhakti Rasalnava, Nayanandana Thakur, he expresses or he reveals 6 kinds of sakas, and he speaks a little bit about the Priyanamasakas. But there's not much description, unfortunately, but I did some research, and there's a few things that I would like to share with you. So why Priyanarma? It's interesting because we see there are also the Priyanarmasakis. So what is the difference between the Priyanarmasakis and the Priyanarmasakas? So the Priyanarmasakis, they are the dear most intimate friend of Srimati Radharani. And there's the same thing also on Krishna's side. Just like there are the Manjaris for Srimati Radharani, there are the Priyanarmasakas also for Krishna. And the particularity of the Priyanarmasakas, if we see like Subala Sakha, is that they are in Madhurya Rasa. And I will give you some proofs about that. It's interesting because if we see, we usually, if I tell you Madhurya Rasa, what do you think? Which personalities do you think in Vrindavan? Sorry?
Gopis.
The gopis. That's true. We think about the gopis, the sakis, the manjaris. But did you know that Madhavendra Puri, no, who is a wish-fulfilling tree in Vrindavan, it is described that he is the tree of Madhurya Rasa? Have you ever heard of that? And that he has the experience of Mahabhav. So Madanakya Mahabhav, which is the love experienced by Srimati Radharani, the loving feelings that she has for Krishna. So that Mahabhav is experienced by Madhavendra Puri, but he is a wish-fulfilling tree. So that brings that question. So is Madhurya Rasa only reserved to the gopis, the sakis? No. Because first of all, rasa is what? What is rasa?
And mellow.
A mellow. So it's Sthayi bhav, we have a sthayi bhav, which is, we have a permanent feeling that makes us attracted to Radha and Krishna in a specific way. And so we see that actually rasa is a feeling, like a permanent feeling that is there. And if we see in Vrindavan, actually everything is a feeling. Even when Krishna addresses himself with what?
Feelings.
With feelings. It's beautiful, huh? Krishna addresses himself with feelings. Because in Vrindavan, everything is a feeling. Everything starts from a feeling, from love. Actually, rasa is the origin of creation. Why? That's a good question. Why is rasa the origin of creation? I got you there, huh?
Because feeling comes before willing.
Feeling comes before willing. That's true. Actually, in a book on the psychology of devotion, Ramanujacharya says that feeling, it is predominating over the thinking and the willing. Why?
Because the impetus behind those.
The impetus, yes. The feeling, it predominates over everything, When we have a strong feeling, for example, the wealthy man, his feeling is to get $1 million. So he's going to do everything. He's going to think and will about it all day and night. So we see that feeling is the most important thing. This is what is driving us to do things, So that's why it's very important. And it's the same thing also in Vrindavan. The feeling is the source of everything. We hear from our acharyas that our transcendental body is a bhava svarup, which is a body made of feelings. So actually in eternity we're meant to express a specific feeling towards Radha and Krishna, and that's what we become. So our name, our form, our services, our house, our ornaments, everything we have on us is a particular feeling that helps us to enrich and nurture and express that feeling towards the divine couple. So this is something that is very important to understand, because this is what we are supposed to become. And the natural expression of a loving feeling we have for the divine couple or their associates. And everything comes from that. Prabhupada said that, huh? It's interesting. He gave us everything. So the devotees, they asked him, what is the most important thing we can do for you, the most important service? And the book distributors, they were thinking, distribute my books. But what did Prabhupada answer?
That you develop love for Krishna.
I want you to develop love for Krishna. Very, very interesting. Because this is the perfection of our life. This is the fullest expression of our being. To express love to Srila Prabhupada and to Radha and Krishna also. So, yes. So rasa is determined by feeling. So that's why it doesn't mean because you have a particular form. Actually, the form is the expression of a feeling. But the feeling is there first. So that's why we can understand that Madhavendra Puri, although he is a wish-fulfilling tree, he has this experience of Madhurya Ras. What about flowers? If you see, there are many, many associates that are present in Vrindavan. So many personalities are there. Just Krishna, when he is dressed by Paktraka and Raktaka, we can see they're putting so many ornaments on him. So many things. There's like ankle bells, there's the dhoti, the sash, there's ornaments, there's toe rings, there's so many things. There's a special necklace, and all of these. So we could think about that for a sec. For example, when there's a beautiful description of Krishna in the 10th canto, chapter 21, verse 5, and the chapter entitled the Venu Gita, the song of the flute. There's a beautiful, the gopis, they are meditating on Krishna and Balaram, and they say the name of Balaram also because they don't want to show off that they're in love with Krishna. Side note. So, yes, and then they see Krishna and Balaram coming out like that into the forest of Vrindavan with the cows, and they describe Krishna with beautiful blue Karnikara flowers on his ears, like that. So, okay, what is the experience of the flower that is there on Krishna's ear? And for example, Radharani also sometimes they exchange their garlands. So when they are in too much separation, Brinda Devi, she finds no other solution but to send a messenger gopi to go get the special blue Karnakara flowers that were there as earrings on Krishna's ears. Then she takes them, she takes the Vaijayanti garland, brings it to Radharani, and then vice versa, so that they can realize that they're still present and that they're meant to be together again. So, what is the experience of these flowers? And there are many messengers in Braj also. There are all kinds of messengers. Did you know that Brinda Devi, she had more than 100,000 parrots, messengers? Lalita Saki also, she has thousands and thousands of gopi messengers that organize different meetings. She knows 24 hours a day where Krishna is, what he is doing exactly. So many messengers are there. So the flowers also, sometimes there are messengers. So Krishna, he takes a flower. Sometimes Krishna, he finds this beautiful golden lotus flower when he's in too much separation from Srimati Radharani. And he picks that flower and he puts the flower to his heart. And then he expresses the love of his heart through a heart message to the flower. And then he wants that flower to be sent to Srimati Radharani. So what is the experience of that flower who receives the loves of Krishna? And vice versa, Radharani, when she's also sometimes in too much separation, she takes a flower, a blue lotus flower, and then she speaks her love message to the flower, which is transported to Krishna, and then Krishna receives that message. Or sometimes, like the flowers are put on their ears, and then when it is put on the ears, the message comes to the ear. And then Krishna can hear either the voice of the flower or the direct voice of Srimati Radharani. It's very beautiful. So, there are many messengers, and what is particular about the Pranama Sakhas? Okay, yes, it's time to speak about the Pranama Sakhas. Yes, they are in Madhurya Ras. Can you get me back my file? I don't know how to... Thank you. Okay, so we're explaining that the rasa is determined first by the feeling, and what is interesting is that Radharani, she has her dear most intimate confidantes, the manjaris. And what are the manjaris doing for Srimati Radharani? What is it that makes the Piranamasaki so dear to the heart of Srimati Radharani?
The intimacy of their service.
The
intimacy of their service.
The intimacy of their service. They do very intimate services and they're present in very intimate moments with Radha and Krishna. Yes? Anything else? There's something particular I want to hear from you.
Their chastity to Srimati Radharani?
Yes, they're completely dedicated to her, because we know in Vrindavan there's like some gopis, they are neutral to Radha and Krishna. It means they have equal love for both of them. Some have more love to Srimati Radharani, some more towards Krishna also. It's the same for, like Chandravali, she also has Priyanamasakis and she also has Priyanamasakas, but that's another thing. Okay, so what else about the Priyanamasakis?
They're younger than Radharani. So
They're younger than Radharani.
So when they assist Radha and Krishna, their love is not, detracted or not disturbed, because they're very young.
Okay, so because they're very young and innocent, they don't have that transcendental lust that makes them able to be in very special moments with Radha and Krishna. Yes, definitely. But there's something else I want to hear from you.
They're always with Radharani?
Yes. But what else? What is in the heart of Srimati Radharani? Krishna. So what do the manjaris do then? If they want to cater to Srimati Radharani's heart.
They want to unite Radha and Krishna.
They want to unite Radha and Krishna. Exactly. They want to unite them together. And for that they do many services. Sometimes there's such a special organization in Vrindavan for Radha and Krishna to be together, because there are so many obstacles on the way. And there's one person, I won't say her name, But you all know who that person is. She's very crooked. So there are so many obstacles on their way, so many difficulties. And the gopis, especially the manjaris, yes, but also the parrots. But the manjaris, they have this special service also of sending messages or going, for example, when Krishna is in underground, sometimes like, for example, every morning when Krishna, he milks the cows in the Goshala, so Danishta and a few gopis, they're coming to see Krishna, because why do they come at that time? When Krishna is not herding, but milking the cows in the Goshala, they come to see Krishna there, but why?
They're going to Mother Yashoda's kitchen to cook, so they're passing by there.
They're passing by, but why are they passing by there?
The purpose is for them to take a message back to Radharani.
Yes. You like cookies, huh? I've got some good ones for you. So, yes, exactly. So the purpose is to investigate, to see what Krishna is doing. And all day long this happens. Because Radharani is in separation from Krishna. Because it's like, when Krishna goes to milk the cows, it's around 7 o'clock. But an hour and a half before that, Srimati Radharani, she was with Krishna in a kunj in the forest. So now she's feeling separation. And to soothe that separation, she sends Danishta and a few gopis to come and inquire about Krishna, what he is doing. And then they're coming back and she's asking, what is Krishna doing now? What is he thinking about? What is he feeling? And then Danishta, she expresses, what Krishna is doing at that time. So, yes, the Manjaris, they have the special service also of bringing Radha and Krishna together. So like you were saying, okay, I'd like to, you'll understand why I'm trying to elucidate that mystery. So you were saying one thing that is interesting, the Manjaris, they are younger, than the Sakhis. So, and they don't have that transcendental loss that makes them, able to assist the divine couple in various ways. But there's something else about that is important, to understand the nature of the Priyanama Sakhis, of the Manjaris. What is that? In connection to what you said, Siddhahari, there's something else about that. That is in connection to the Priyanama Sakhas also.
They're also younger than Krishna?
Yes, they're also younger than Krishna, but there's something else about the Priyanama Sakhis, why they want to unite the divine couple together. So one thing is that they're assisting the romance of the divine couple. They're making so many arrangements for Radha and Krishna to be together. And it's the same thing with the Priyanama Sakhas. They're also from Krishna's side, because if from Radharani's side there's so many arrangements that are made, including soothing Radharani's heart, sending messages, giving news about Krishna, well, it has to be there also from Krishna's side. Krishna has a heart. And what is in Krishna's heart? Srimati Radharani. So the same thing has to happen on Krishna's side. So that's why all the same arrangements must be there. And just like Srimati Radharani has her Priyanama Sakhis to do all of that, Krishna, he has his Priyanama Sakhas to do all of that too. So that's why they are in Madhurya Rasa also. Although they are Sakhas, we could say they are like Manjaris in the body of a Sakha. To accompany Krishna's heart, just like the Manjaris, they are there to accompany Radharani's evolution of feelings as she is getting closer to meet Krishna. They assist in every part of the way in the path of her heart in a way that actually she feels accompanied and directed towards meeting her beloved Krishna. So for Krishna's heart, that has to be there also. There has to be, confidential associates that are there to prepare his heart, to follow the evolution of his feelings, and to make so many different arrangements so that Radha and Krishna, they can be together. So that's why they come into play. So they are Sakhas, but they have Madhurya Ras. Just like the Priyanama Sakhis, it's not that they have attraction for Krishna, but because they have the heart of a Manjari, and like you will see later, they're very dear to Srimati Radharani also. Because the heart of Srimati Radharani is Krishna, and because the Priyanama Sakhas, they make so many arrangements so that Krishna can meet Srimati Radharani, the Priyanama Sakhas are very dear to the heart of Srimati Radharani also. And being in Madhurya Ras, as they understand the heart of Krishna, and this is something important and exclusive to the Priyanama Sakhas, we're seeing that there are 6 different categories of sakhas. But when Krishna, sometimes he's feeling separation, sometimes all the time, when he is not with her, Krishna is feeling separation from Srimati Radharani. And for example, he's playing with the sakhas, they have a game. There's so many different games in Vrindavan. Sometimes they use a ball. It's a flower ball, but it's made of flower petals, and it's kind of fragile. And they throw at each other, they're playing the 2 camps. It's usually it's from one side it's Krishna's group, and from one side it's Balaram's camp that are there. And you have younger sakhas also that are there on the back. They're just like a game, like a football game. There's like, how do you call that? These steps where people they sit?
Bleachers.
Huh?
Bleachers.
Spectators.
The name of the steps, what is?
Bleachers.
Bleachers?
Yeah.
Bleachers.
Yeah.
So like that, there are steps also when the sakhas, they are sitting around, to see what's happening, and they're shouting, Krishna, Krishna, Balaram, Balaram. And so they have these big flower balls, and they're very fragile, and at one point when they throw it, sometimes it explodes, on the head of the sakha. So Krishna is playing like that, but all of a sudden, as he's playing, because everything Krishna does, we have to understand, because rasa is the origin of everything, and that's why we understand also from Krishna's side, everything he does is for whom? For Srimati Radharani. Everything he does. He dances for her, he plays for her, he's joking around for her, because he knows that if he's happy with the sakhas, if he's having fun and having, keli pastimes, fun leelas, then Srimati Radharani will be pleased by that. And then it will suit her separation also. So everything, absolutely everything that Krishna does is for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani. So, and then at some point he's playing, with the sakhas. And he's just thinking about Radharani at that time, and he's feeling a great separation. And so much separation is there in his heart that he falls on the ground. He crumbles on the ground, and the sakhas, they don't understand what's happening. They think maybe he has not taken enough kachoris, or I don't know, maybe he didn't drink enough water. What's happening? And they're trying to understand why he is so fragile. He's so weak in that time. But the Piranama sakhas like Subala sakha, Madhumangal, there's 8 principal Piranama sakhas, and Madhumangal also is a Piranama sakha. But there's something specific to him, because in the Pereo Bhakti Rasarnava, Nayanandana Thakur, he says that there's a category of sakha that are buffoon, that are joking around all the time. So although he's privy to Krishna's heart, he also has that very joking attitude. I mean, he's a sakha also. The sakhas, they like to crack jokes all the time. So, this is between boys. There's some particular mood that is there. And we find that being a sakha, in the body of a sakha also, although the heart is something special, Madhu Mangal, he has that, category of being a buffoon. So, yes. So Subal Sakha also is, yes, Subal Sakha, Madhu Mangal, Ujjval, they're the most important Pranama sakhas. They understand what's happening at that time. Of all the sakhas, they are the only ones that are sensitive to Krishna's feelings for Srimati Radharani, what's going on at the time. They can feel, that's why, just like the Manjaris, they can feel everything about Srimati Radharani's heart. The Pranama sakhas, they can feel everything about Krishna's heart. So that's why they understand what's going on, and then they make arrangements. Subhasakha, most of the time when Krishna is in too much separation, he goes, or either he sends a messenger, another Pranama sakha, or he goes personally to understand where is Srimati Radharani, to find, because there's these 2 camps that are there, and sometimes they send messages to see when will Krishna will meet Radharani, at which place exactly, what time. And Subhasakha makes arrangements, and then he goes to Krishna's here, and he said, don't worry, Kana, I have made special arrangements for you, and soon you will meet your beloved. And then because Krishna trusts Subhasakha with his life, then it suits his pain of separation, and then he can continue again. He stands up, and so that's why without the Pranama sakhas, Krishna could not continue throughout the day. They're very dear to his heart because they accompany here. They are conscious of his feelings for Srimati Radharani. They are conscious of the romance, and they assist in the romance. So I've been speaking a little bit, but I'd like to share what I've heard from the acharyas that describe the pranama sakhas. So something very interesting, which will make us understand why the pranama sakhas, they are manjaris in the form of a sakha. Rupa Goswami describes this in Ujjvala Nilamani, Atyantika Rahasyagya Sakhi Bhava Samashritaha. They know the most intimate aspects of Krishna's life and have taken shelter in the mood of Sakhis. So Jiva Goswami also, in a commentary, explains that when out of affection for both Krishna and Radha, they desire to unite the divine couple, at that time, their masculine nature is subdued and they act like Sakhis. So how we can understand this is that although they have the body of a Sakha, and also, being in that form, they can also relate in Sakharas with all the other Sakhas, but because they have the heart of a Manjari, the mood is there that makes them able to, communicate with the Sakhis. Even it is described that Madhu Mangal and Subal Sakha, they're privy and present in intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So this shows you how important they are in the pastimes, that they are even present. For example, when Krishna is feeling so much separation from Srimati Radharani, this is around 11, just a little bit before 11:15. Krishna, he needs to go see Srimati Radharani, and we know for certain every day that he meets her in Radhakund for many hours, from 11:12 to 3:36, something like that. So Krishna at some point he says to Balaram, he says, "Oh Balaram, I'm not feeling good now. I think I need to spend some time with my friend Subal. If you let me, I'm just going to go walk a little bit with him." So he goes away with Subal and Madhu Mangal and all the Pranama Sakhas. Not all. I mean, there are different types of Pranama Sakhas, but the Sakhas that are connected to Subal and Madhu Mangal, they accompany their group leader and Krishna to Radhakund, and they're present in Radhakund. And they help with the pastimes that we know. In Radhakund, there are beautiful swing pastimes. They do games, dice games. They do water plays also. Jalkili. And the Pranama Sakhas, they help in the afternoon also. And like you will see later, even Subal is present during the night also with Krishna when he meets Radharani and the Sakhis. So they have very intimate services to not only Krishna, but Srimati Radharani and the divine couple. So, yes, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we find this passage, which is beautiful, where Srimati Radharani herself, she describes the confidential service to Krishna that his friend Subal is doing. And you'll see. So there was talk among the friends of Radharani, the gopis, about these most intimate friends. One gopi addressed Radharani thus, "My dear Krishangi, delicate one, just see how Subal is whispering your message into Krishna's ear, how he is delivering the confidential letter of Shyamadasi silently into Krishna's hand, how he is delivering the betel nuts prepared by Palika into Krishna's mouth, and how he is decorating Krishna with the garland prepared by Taraka. Did you know, my dear friend, that all these most intimate friends of Krishna are always engaged in his service in this way?" So, and then he continues, "Out of the many intimate Priyanamas, Subal and Ujjval are considered to be the most prominent. But actually, Subal Sakha is the dearmost intimate friend of Krishna. And you understand why, because he does services that nobody else do. And he knows Krishna's heart like nobody else. So, yes, Radhagunath Das Goswami, in the prayers, he explains, this is in the Braj Bilastava, text 22. Filled with deep love for him, and anxious that they may be separated, Subal never, even in dream, lets go of the hand of Shri Krishna, the moon of Gokul. Even in dream, Subal is always with Krishna. Subal's heart is sprinkled with the waters of the swiftly moving mountain stream of devotion to Srimati Radhika. I offer my respectful obeisances to Subal, whose body trembles with love for Shri Radha Krishna. So, there are beautiful descriptions in Shastra about Subal Sakha. So, it's described that he has a fair complexion, and actually, the particularity of Subal is that he looks so much like Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the most beautiful. But Subala Sakha, although is in the masculine form, is almost as beautiful as Srimati Radharani. And there are two names of Srimati Radharani, of Subal, in which she is called Subal. And there's one name that explains that she has given her own form to Subal, because Subal, he's 12 years and a half. Srimati Radharani is 14 years and a few months, and almost a half, a little bit more. And he has the same feet like Srimati Radharani. He has the same hands, and he has the same face also, but in a masculine form. So can you imagine the beauty of Subal? That's why he's dear most friend to Krishna, because when Krishna sees Subal, he sees Srimati Radharani. So he wears blue garments, just like Srimati Radharani also, with many types of jewels and flowers. And although he's Krishna's friend, he is immersed in serving Krishna in so many different ways. And yes, actually, in Nectar of Devotion, there's something very beautiful that I'd like to share with you. It's always special when we hear directly from Srila Prabhupada, especially when he speaks about Subala Sakha, something special. So this is in chapter 41. Subal and his glorious qualities are described by Srila Prabhupada. Subal's body is described as follows. His complexion is just like molten gold. He is very, very dear to Krishna. He always has a garland around his neck, and he wears yellow clothing. His eyes are just like lotus flower petals. And he is so intelligent that by his talking and his moral instructions, all the other friends take the highest pleasure. Let us all offer respectful obeisances unto Krishna's friend Subal. The degree of intimacy shared by Krishna and Subal can be understood by the fact that the talks between them were so confidential that no one else could understand what they were saying. Why? Why is that?
Because they talk through their feelings.
Yes, because Krishna speaks about Srimati Radharani. That is why. So also Rupa Goswami, he describes Subal, he says, I glorify Subal, so beloved of Hari, whose bodily effulgence is brighter than gold. Remember, he has the same also body complexion, because he's like Srimati Radharani, but in the body of a young boy. He has a garland around his neck, and I thought that was interesting. According to his vision, he says, and wears emerald green clothes. Usually he wears blue, but when Rupa Goswami meditated on Subal, or the vision that he had green clothes at that time. His eyes are like lotus flowers. He brings the highest pleasure to his friends by his clever insights on life. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says in the Brajriti Chantamani, text 52, some friends are considered very confidential, and some fortunate friends perform confidential services. Subal, Ujjval, and some splendid others who are as good as the gopis. Why?
Because they're in the Madhuri Ras.
Sorry?
Because they're in Madhuri Ras.
Yes, and because? What else?
Bringing Radha and Krishna together.
They bring Radha and Krishna together, and there's what else? Why are they as good as the gopis? There's something else. I said it earlier. Because?
They have Madhurya Bhav too.
Yes. No, it's because, everything you say is true. But what I wanted to hear is that because there are manjaris in the body of a sakha, So it's just we have to understand they are on Krishna's side, basically. But they reunite the divine couple together, and when Radha and Krishna are together, they are with the manjaris present. Like Subal, Madhumangal, they're there in Radhakund, and they assist also the gopis in serving the divine couple. It's just that they are, usually on Krishna's side to bring him towards Srimati Radharani. Okay, and also something very interesting. The level, so this is described in the commentary on the Ujjvala Nilamani from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, the gopis of Braja who possess Samartarati possess a deeper love of Shyam Sundar, which is up to the limit of Mahabhav, which we described at the beginning is the love of Srimati Radharani. Amongst Subal and some of the other cohort boys, the limits of the love can be found to also extend up to Mahabhav. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals that Subala Sakha experiences the love of Srimati Radharani. So that's why it's not because they have. Sorry?
He says right there.
Yes, he says it's right there. He says, amongst Subal and some of the other cohort boys. But he's speaking about Priyanamasakas. Because only the Priyanamasakas have the experience of Mahabharata. Because they are in Madhurya Ras. And they are manjaris in the body of a sakha. Amongst Subal and some of the other cohort boys, the limits of their love can be found to also extend up to Mahabharata. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals it there. Unfortunately, there's not so much description. And we hope in the future that some special associates, just like Nayanandana Thakur, they come and they can reveal the Priyanamasakas. That will be beautiful. So, okay. You know Subal. You've heard of Subal before. Have you heard of him in pastimes? Any pastimes you remember that are involving Subal Sakha personally? Important pastimes.
Famous was the calf one.
The what?
The calf pastime. The calf is lost.
The calf is lost, yes. And if we have time, maybe another time, we can share some stories with Subal Sakha. Beautiful leelas.
And we'll continue on Friday, and the next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. Okay, so any other pastimes? I'd like to write a book, if I could find, because the thing, it will make a big book, because Subal is always with Krishna, and he's also with Srimati Radharani. We'll give you some hints about that. So any other important, because there's so many, but that comes to mind.
Is he there in the Mukta Charit pastime?
Yes, he is there. What is the Mukta Charit?
The pearl.
The pearl,
Pearl
yes.
pastime.
Pearl pastime. Definitely Subal is there. He plays an important role. There's another one where he plays a very important role.
They go tax collector. Is it the one?
Oh, I read online, yes? Gopastami pastime, yes. How could we forget this one? That's the Acharya said that the most precious thing are the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And when is the only day in the year where we can receive the beautiful darshan of her lotus feet is the day of Gopastami.
That's the first thing we said, lost calf
The
pastime.
calf pastime.
Oh yes, sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, that's true. That's the same. You're right. Thank you. So this is a very important pastime. You said toll pastime also. Subal Sakha has an important role there. You know, it jokes with Radharani. And there's something else also. Oof. Will you get that one? Think about it. Any pastime Krishna does with young sakhas.
Oh, stealing the clothes of unmarried gopis.
Yes. Stealing the clothes of unmarried gopis. They're younger sakhas that accompany Krishna. Who are these younger sakhas? The Priyanama sakhas. Yes. Because they're younger, just like the manjaris. Also, they are manjaris in the body of a sakha. It's not a problem. They're completely qualified and favorable in their mood and feeling and rasa to steal the gopis' clothes. Because they accompany them in the loving pastimes with Radha and Krishna. So it's interesting because when I read Krishna book first, I could not understand how is it these boys are helping Krishna to steal the gopis' clothes. No, I was a little confused, but now I understand. Because these boys are none other than Priyanamasakas. That's why. It's interesting. Huh? Yeah. Anything else? Before we move on, any other pastimes you recall? No? Okay.
Holy.
Holy, yes. It's because we talked about that story earlier in January. Subal actually, yes. So what happened with Subal and Holy? Could you...
I don't remember the details properly, but I do remember he's present and he was helping with messages, right?
Yes, he was helping with messages. And what did Radharani do to Subal's face? To punish him?
I thought that was Madhumangal who was tied up and he was shouting.
Yes, Madhumangal was tied up.
Yeah.
But Subal also, he came to find his friend because Krishna was with Subal. He said, I'm worried. Because actually what happened is Batu, the Madhumangal, he was attached with his shika. Yes, they did that. So the gopis, they took his shika, they attached it to the branch of a tree, and then they turned around him and they put like all kinds of like powders on him and everything. And then Krishna, he heard the scream of his friend from a distance. Oh, Gopal, oh, Govinda, help me, help me, help me. And then Krishna, he heard that. He said, oh, Madhumangal is in distress. Oh, Subal, do something. Go see what's happening. Subal, he went there. He went to see the Sakhis. And what did they do? when they saw him, they sent him back with, you remember the story? We shared a few months ago. So what they did, Srimati Radharani, she took kajal. And she, on one eye of Subal, she put kajal around her eye like this, yeah. And she sent him back with Madhumangal like this, you know. Okay, so, yes. Beautiful glorification also in Stavavali by Raghunath Das Goswami. He says, it's to show how Subal is important to Krishna and how the Acharyas, they describe Subal in connection to Krishna and Srimati Radharani. He's a central figure in connecting them together. You'll understand why later. He does a service that even the Sakhis are able to do towards Srimati Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances to a certain wonderful cuckoo, who is none other than Radharani, whose splendor defeats the shining of gold, and who is very greedy to taste the charming sweetness of the honey trickling from the budding twigs of the lips of Subal's friend Krishna. And often when the acharyas, they speak about Krishna but in connection to Radharani, they use the name of Subal. Subal's friend Krishna. And in there it shows how the position of Subal Sakha. So, yes. Okay, there's something interesting again to show how, Subal is his most intimate friend. So this is a song in Padyavali. It's from Govinda Das. It's in a book called Gangdhara Raga. It's song 10. And it starts like this. Krishna, who is the Lord of the poor and meek and the hero that vanquished Kaliya, stays in the Kadamba tree's shade on the Yamuna's banks. Lord Krishna says, how many girls of Braj have I seen? Still, this one girl is splendid like a garland of unmoving lightning flashes. Oh, friend Subal. He speaks to Subala about that. I tell you, from that moment I no longer know whether it is day or night. In that place were two or four beautiful girls, splendid like glistening jewels, but only one of those girls cast a spell on my heart. I keep that girl in my heart. My heart is filled with the smoke of Kamadev's flames. Lost in the smoke, I cannot see the directions. Moment after moment, I am wrapped in thinking of this girl. I know nothing but her. I am overcome by the fever of separation from her. Day after day, my body becomes more thin and emaciated. Govinda Das says, these are the signs of new love. So Krishna, he brings Subal in the confidence of his heart. And also, we see the same from Srimati Radharani's side. And listen to this. This is from Radha Krishna Ganadesh Dipika by Srila Rupa Goswami. So also included among Srimati Radharani's servants, along with the gopis, are Gargi Devi and other very respectable Brahmana girls, Bringarika Devi and other girls from the Cheti community, Vijaya Devi, Rasala Devi, Payoda Devi, and other girls from the Vita community. So different communities, sometimes in the forest or other parts of Braj, as well as the boys, Subal, Ujval, Gandharva, Madhumangal, and Raktaka. Raktaka is Krishna's servant. He's not a Pranamasaka, but he's younger, 9-10 years old. The Pranamasakas, they are between 11 and 13 years old. Subal is 12 years and a half. But Raktaka is very confidential servant of Krishna. And because he's really close to him, then he's dear to Srimati Radharani's heart. And he serves also Srimati Radharani in certain aspects. So, okay, listen to this. This shows the position of Subal Sakha and how intimate his service is to the divine couple. This is again in Ujvala Nilamani. Is there any service to Krishna that Subal has not the right to perform? When Krishna's mistress gets angry with him and runs off, it is Subal who follows her and entreats her to come back. He prepares the flower bed for their union and even fans the lovers when they're perspiring in their embrace. So intimate is the service of Subal Sakha. And something that is very interesting there is that when actually sometimes, many times, Srimati Radharani, she is in mana, she's pouting Krishna, Subal, her heart is locked There's like a lock on her heart and she cannot do anything about it. Even the Sakis like Lalita Saki, Vishaka, Rupa Manjari, none of them can do anything to unlock Srimati Radharani's heart. And Subal Sakha is the only one at that time who comes to Srimati Radharani, and because he looks like her also, but in connection to Krishna, when she sees Subal, immediately just by seeing him, her heart unlocks. And then he takes her by the hand, he looks at her, he gives her some soothing words, and then he brings her towards where Krishna is. And he's the only one that can do that, actually. So Subal is a very special personality in Braj. So something interesting, we hear the names, the 108 names of Krishna or Balaram, but also this is in a text from Raghunath Das Goswami, Radhi Kastotara Satanama Stotra. So text 12. So sometimes Krishna, like there's other names of Krishna that are in connection to Subal also, which I could not find here. But Radharani herself, she's described, there are two names of Radharani that are associated with Subal. So number 34 of the 108 names is who looks like Subal. It's interesting, she looks like Subal. 35, who is happy when Subal is happy. So from that we see how close Subal is to Srimati Radharani also. Because, from that pastime where he unlocks her heart so that she can be with Krishna, it shows you how dear Subal is to the heart of Srimati Radharani. So also the same, this is in the Stavamala from Rupa Goswami. Again, he speaks about the 108 names of the Queen of Vrindavan, and this is found in verse 9. So different names, he says, Vishaka's everything, flooded with the nectar of compassion, the object of Purnamasi's great love, and, number 21, pleased with Subal. And again, Raghunath Das Goswami, he describes how the qualities and opulences of Radharani, they have been bestowed upon Subal. So 35, again this is names of Srimati Radharani. 35, who has bestowed a form equal to hers to Subal. And 36, who is very fond of Subal. Interesting. So also, there's a beautiful verse in... So there's a beautiful verse also in the, it's called the Prema Pura Buddha Stotra by Raghunath Das Goswami. And then there's a beautiful description there. O Radha, who dressed in white flowers decorated with camphor and a hand resting on a gopi messenger, meets Subal's friend Krishna on a sweet moonlit spring night. Please, for even a moment, delight my eyes. Again, the name of Subal's friend Krishna. Subal's name is used there in connection, to Srimati Radharani. So how are we with time? I think maybe... Yes, just a sec. Let's see what we have there. Okay. We'll just finish with Nectar of Devotion because there's a lot more things I would like to share with you, like pastimes and things like that. But we'll just finish with this last part of Nectar of Devotion. So it's chapter 42, and it's very beautiful. So Prabhupada says, when Krishna and Subal were embracing one another, Srimati Radharani became a little envious, and hiding her hot temperament, she said, "My dear Subal, you are very fortunate because even in the presence of superiors, you and Krishna have no hesitation in putting your arms on each other's shoulders. I think it must be admitted that in your previous lives, you have succeeded in many kinds of austerities." So she's a little jealous because, she sees, and also because she sees herself in Subal, there's something that is there, because she sees herself in Subal, and Subal is so close to Krishna, and at that time he can embrace him. So there's some particular feeling that is there. So Prabhupada says the idea is that although Radharani was accustomed to putting her arms on Krishna's shoulders, it was not possible for her to do such a thing in the presence of her superiors, whereas Subal could do so freely. Radharani therefore praised his good fortune. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, yes, we'll finish here because it's already late. But Maharaj, est-ce que tu voudrais dire quelque chose? J'ai pris un peu de temps ce matin pour parler de Subal Sakha est-ce que tu voudrais dire quelque chose pour glorifier Subal?
Non, je finis mes tours.
Okay.
Après, on parlera plus tard.
Okay. So we'll finish there. Yes, yeah.
You mentioning some names of Radharani
Yes.
to Subal?
Yes.
I just asked ChatGPT. It gave me a few.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you found more
Yeah. There's
in
one
connection to Subal.
Gopal Champu.
Come closer so that they can hear.
Subal Veshadharini.
Come so that they can hear on the computer.
Subala Veshadharini, which
Okay.
means she who assumes the dress of Subal.
Mm.
Another name is Subala Sakhi.
Mm.
Another name is Subal Anuga.
Mm. Beautiful.
She who follows and imitates Subal.
She who follows and imitates Subal. Beautiful. I will translate for Maharaj. Can you show me? En fait, parce que je donnais des noms de Srimati Radharani qui sont en lien avec Subal, mais il en a trouvé d'autres sur Internet que j'avais jamais trouvé. Donc il y en a un, c'est Subal Veshadharini, elle qui porte le même habit que Subal. Et ensuite, il y a Subala Sakhi, l'ami de Subal. Et ensuite, Subala Nuga, ou Subala Nuga, ouais. Elle qui suit ou imite Subal.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Subal Priya Rupini?
No.
Oh no, this is what I have expressed, no?
They don't have any reference.
Oh, they don't have any reference. Okay, we're not sure about that one. Okay, then. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yes, just some very beautiful descriptions about Subhasaka. I forgot to say that he is my greatest hero here is Srila Prabhupada, but my greatest hero in Vrindavan is Subhasaka. He's very special, and I really appreciate his qualities, his mood, and his love for the divine couple. So we'll finish here. Jai Subhasaka ki, Jai Shrimati Radharani ki, Jai Di Priyanama Sakas ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Haribol. Thank you, the devotees, dear devotees, for being present, for joining the nectar of the glories of Subhasaka.